Cyberspace is a wonderful place. Certainly our last guest, Joe Sammartano, would attest to that. He's got that whole website of bestfreebies.com. But cyberspace certainly does not seem like a very genteel place. It is a place, after all, where you can see naked ladies doing it online, real time. It also would seem like a godless place, but my next guest might hasten to disagree with me on that topic. Joshua Hammerman is the author of The Lord is My Shepherd.com, Seeking God in Cyberspace, a book that explores the way that new technology can enhance our spirituality and transcend conventional boundaries. I should point out for our viewers, you are a rabbi.
That's right, I am a rabbi.
And I guess you are a computer freak of some level.
I think I know a little more about religion than I do about computers, but yes, I'm fascinated with technology.
And you say in the book that one of the aims of faith and spirituality should be to deepen our own personal sense of a relationship with God, but also a relationship with a greater community of spiritual searchers.
I think people are seeking, they're searching. And also, as you mentioned at the outset, they're afraid of change, of technology, and this book is really intended to tell people that it's okay. There's a lot of scary stuff out there, but the internet is something that we can connect to. Religion, the word religion actually means to reconnect in Latin, and there's no greater model for connection in our modern world than cyberspace.
Okay, you're going to have to prove that to me. You've searched many websites. You said you've been researching this book for a couple of years.
About 2 or 3 years.
Okay. Give me a sense of a couple of what you might consider transcendent moments online.
My first transcendent moment was probably the reason I wrote the book. It was about 4 years ago when I just started going online, and I did an immortality check.
You searched on that word?
I searched for my name.
Oh, you did?
On Alta Vista, whatever it was. And my name came up a few times. I'd written some articles, whatever, they were there. I said, oh, great, I'm immortal, I'm online. But then I saw my father's name.
Wow. And
my father had been a cantor, a religious leader in the Boston area. And this was a site that I clicked to, a nostalgic website of how life was in the world that I grew up in 25, 30 years ago. And his name was there, and he was mentioned with such affection. And I should mention parenthetically that my father died 20 years ago. So for me to see him there and
He's still alive on the internet.
Alive on the internet.
Wow.
To reconnect with him. That's one reason I wrote the book.
Do you think that a spiritual person, you know, from my tradition, my Catholic tradition, we all learned about the cloistered nuns who would get up to the sounds of the bells and say their matins, and there were noonday prayers and afternoon to evening prayers. Can you go on the internet that way and have a prayerful day on the internet?
Oh, absolutely. There are so many religious websites, some better than others. Again, with Alta Vista, when I first started writing the book, I plugged in the word God. 4 million hits.
Wow.
So there's
God's
plenty to choose.
pretty popular on the internet.
God is out there.
Yes.
Plenty to choose from. And I find that many people are using the internet. It's almost becoming the confessional booth of the 21st century.
Well, that's true. There is some of that, right?
There is, with clergy that you know or with people that you don't know. Surveys show that 25% of people use the internet for religious purposes, and mostly that's in communication, in chat rooms, or in emailing. My congregants, who know me very well, will say things to me in email. They'll expose vulnerability that they will not expose face-to-face or over the phone, because it's a safe medium, and it's an expressive one. God is found in those connections.
Right. That is really terribly true. I find a great intimacy, even in the emails that I receive from people. Sometimes you strike up these email relationships that are pretty intense and revealing in the best way.
They are.
And you probably would not be so forthright with someone face to face anywhere near that quickly.
Especially with your own clergy person. People are very reluctant sometimes because they feel that there'll be a holier-than-thou response, which I try to avoid. That's one reason I'm not called rabbi in this book. I'm a fellow traveler. I'm not trying to pull or push someone along. The other thing I'm finding is that people who have been turned away or alienated from synagogues and churches and institutional religion are finding their way back by way of cyberspace, either to cyber churches and synagogues or to their own. And I have my own congregants who don't come into the building more than maybe a couple of times a year, still feel connected to me through the internet.
Well, when you talk about cyber churches and cyber temples,
Yes.
are people doing services online? Can you partake in a streaming video service?
There are lots of them out there.
Yeah.
This is the week of the Jewish High Holy Days.
Yeah, right.
And I know of one site that's designed especially for outreach. Many interfaith couples, others who don't have connections to a synagogue, they can hear the ram's horn, the shofar,
Wow.
online. It's, I think, JOI.org, Jewish Outreach Institute. But that kind of thing is happening everywhere. Now, you need, I'm one for flesh and blood community. I don't want to say that it's better to be detached from people than to really be in connection physically, but there are people in hospitals, people in nursing homes, people on a boat somewhere or in the Antarctica who may not be able to come together for a service. They can now experience the intimacy of a religious service online.
Do you believe that all clergy should get themselves to a website?
As fast as they can.
Right.
I found it to be an excellent tool to reach out to my own membership and beyond, far beyond. I think it's a very important thing for clergy to be internet savvy. Most religious institutions are discovering that, I would say, although the official bodies of the religion are still very suspicious of technology. There are hundreds of churches and synagogues now with websites, and they can be found very easily.
And if you have a spiritual need, you can presumably email.
You can. There's a danger, and you have to be very careful not to, that you should know who you're emailing to. A lot of people will seek out a clergy person they don't know because of a very intimate concern, and they don't want those in town to know. But they have to be careful who they're looking for.
Okay, if you are someone who wants to rekindle your spirituality, and maybe your spirituality has been dormant for a while, and you want to try online, where do you suggest a person go? How do you start?
I would start at www.thelordismyshepherd.com.
Okay, we just had your site up. We'll put it up again.
That's my website.
Right.
And actually start with the book, which is meant to be used, at least at times, while you're online. You need to have some background as to what you're looking for, and that's what I try to cover in the book, that we're not looking for some abstract God on high, but we're looking for different ways that we experience God, metaphors that have changed, and journeys that we can take. In the book, I take several journeys, some of them to the websites of depravity that you mentioned, which I only did for professional purposes, I may add.
Okay, Joshua. But also you do, in the book, you talk about a number of religious traditions, which I think is a valuable thing for both adults and our adolescent children to understand that there are a plurality of religious traditions out there. You know, the Hinduism, Judaism, all the varieties of Catholicism, the New Age.
It's all there.
Right, right.
It's all there. And I think it's important that people have the strength of a foundation of their own religion. But there is a globalism that is happening out there in the economy and politics, in how we shop, in religion too. And I find I'm gaining great inspiration from other faiths. In the book, I travel, of course, to Jerusalem. I do some pilgrimages to holy places, but then I also go to Mecca. Now, not too many rabbis have been known to get into Mecca. Not too many Jews have, or non-Muslims. But I managed to get past the gates. using cyberspace, and found a lot of inspiration there and in many sites of many faiths.
Well, Joshua, thank you so much for being with us again. The book is The Lord Is My Shepherd.com, Seeking God in Cyberspace by Joshua Hammerman, and the website is www.thelordismyshepherd.com. Thank you, Joshua. When we return, we're going to break. Finance 101, helping students master the financial facts of life. We'll be right back.